Hi, this is Safi, and today I will show you how to beat KFC as MLS. As you know, KFC is one of the strongest comps right now, if not the strongest. But if you play well as an MLS, you will win KFC almost every time. First of all, I'd like to talk about KFC. KFC is a warrior, a hunter, and a healer in it. Depending on the class of the healer, the CC can be different, but it is mostly played with a druid or a paladin. Whereas MLS is, as you know, mage, warlock, and shaman. So, first of all, warriors and hunters are both really bursty classes right now. This means that when they pop their cooldowns, you should be completely ready, or you might get one-shotted. To avoid this, you need to read the game well and have good awareness. Look out for the CDs at all times and never let them get you while you are off guard. Don't use your defensive cooldowns before they pop their offensive cooldowns. They have Stampede, Recklessness, Link's Rush, and Avatar as their main cooldowns. You should be looking out for all these and pop your cooldowns accordingly. Another thing KFC has is that they have really great CC. I'm gonna particularly talk about the Paladin version, so let's see what CC KFC has. In KFC, warriors have Shockwave, Blanket Silences, and Fear. This means that you shouldn't play too close to your healer, or you might get stunned, silenced, or feared together. The Hunter has Scattershot, Trap, which you should eat, and Silencing Shot. They're also really good CCs, and they don't share DR apart from the silence. The Paladin has a 6-second stun, and most people spec into it so that it's pretty long range. And also, they have a blinding light, which shares DR with the fear, but they can chain it pretty good. This also means that Paladins, a class that has Trinket and Bubble, can run in and try to use these cooldowns offensively. So you need to get their bubbles off, you need to CC them, so that they can't run in and CC your healer. This is very important. If you let the Paladin CC your healer, and on top of the hunter and the warrior doing it, then you will most likely lose, as we will see later on. One thing you need to know about KFC is that you cannot pop your cooldowns and go for a kill early, like they do. You need to survive all their cooldowns, and afterwards you can play offensive. This does not mean that you can't play offensive at all, but mainly you should keep your offensive cooldowns until they use their trinkets, use their bubble, use their shield wall, deterrence, depends on who you go on, but you cannot go offensive in the start because you need to cast, they don't, and they will not let you cast with all their cooldowns up, forcing you to play defensive. So let's look at the defensive play first. The defensive play. What does MLS have to counter all these big offensive cooldowns? Let's take a look. MLS has two different spammable CCs which can be used to peel, especially much easier since the spell change. They are Fear and Polymorph. You also have Death Coil and Deep Freeze to keep the warrior off of you when he pops his cooldowns. As a warlock, you need to pop your Teleport, Dark Bargain, Dark Regeneration, and Health Zone, Ember Tap, and Unending Resolve whenever you feel the pressure is being too high for your healer. He's in a CC and doesn't have to or want to trinket yet. Since your mage has two ice blocks, Blink, and Novas to keep people off him, they will most likely not go for him so much. But your mage is supposed to help you a lot through Ring of Frost and Novas to keep the warrior and the Stampede away from you. The CC of Stampede should be your mage's responsibility, and you need to go to him if he tells you to go to him to keep the Stampede off. As you know, Stampede hits a lot of damage, so that is the main reason why you might get one-shotted, along with the warrior popping Recklessness with Avatar together. In that case, you have to deep freeze him while CCing the healer so he doesn't dispel, and Death Coil him right after. He will most likely trinket one of these, but still, that's enough time for you to get ready to use your defensive cooldowns. Let's take a look at how warlocks should use their defensive cooldowns against KFC. I have two examples. In one of them, the first one, I use them wrong and die because of it. The second one, I use it right. So let's take a look. In the start of the arena, I will put down my portal in behind the pillar. Also, I will try to get a demonic gateway out, which is kind of impossible in most of the arenas, or especially if the KFC is rushing right away. But I will probably get it out this time because they're not rushing, and it's Tolvin Arena. Right off the bat, I rain of fire to not let the hunter push in too much with camouflage, but my mage makes a mistake by deep freezing the paladin. I've taken too much damage already, so I have to teleport, but this is not good for us. They haven't popped so much cooldowns yet. The warrior also has heroic leap for my portal. He's just gonna get back on me right away. This doesn't really help me so much. So, I just havoc the warrior and death coil the hunter. So they both get death coiled. I see the trap and I run and take it. This is good now. At this point, they lose pressure on me, so they switch to my mate to stop him from CCing the paladin. It's 1 minute into the game, and we didn't even get the paladin's trinket. We are not supposed to do this. We need to play a little bit more offensive to force trinkets. Otherwise, we won't be able to kill them. I'm getting away from my teleport, so when they switch me, my teleport actually does something good. Now I'm in the middle to get the fear on the paladin to force a trinket, but we will see what happens. As you can see here, they have popped all their cooldowns. There's Recklessness, Avatar, Stampede up. This means that they're going all or nothing. They're gonna either kill me in this burst or probably lose later on. Now, what I do is that I trinket the stun, which is completely fine since I've dipped so low already. I teleport right after using Dark Bargain while my healer is not in a CC. And I use Dark Regeneration when I'm full HP. These are all mistakes by me. The problem with Dark Bargain is that it's great to absorb all the damage, but if your healer is not in a CC, it's not that great, since you will take 50% of the damage they have dealt in the last 8 seconds right after the buff expires as a dot. So this means that after it expires, I will have to tank all their full damage, the Stampede's damage, the Warrior's Recklessness damage that is left, and the Dark Bargain's dot damage. These all combined will make me go really, really low and potentially kill me. Another problem was that I used Unending Resolve too late. I should have used it right after Dark Bargain to negate the damage. Another problem is that I made the gateway earlier, but I forgot using it. When I teleported, the warrior heroic leaped. If I had just used the gateway, I would have definitely survived that. Also, you can see the problem with the paladin. Let's take another look to that point of the game. We didn't see him so much earlier, so he didn't pop his trinket and bubble fast enough. So now he has bubble, so he runs in and plays way too offensively. He blinds our healer, and he stuns him right after. Our healer has no trinket, so the paladin solo CCs him for the amount of stampede, and I die in it. Those are all mistakes done by me and my mage. Since my mage used his Ring of Frost earlier, he couldn't help me so much this time with his Ring of Frost on the stampede. That was because we got so pressured in the start of the game. That's mostly because of the deep on the paladin and the fact that I ate so much damage in the start without them popping any cooldowns. Now let's see it done right. This time we will have so good CC on everything that I don't even have to use my Dark Bargain and even use my Unending Resolve offensively. I rush behind the boxes and put my teleport down. I run in and fear the paladin to force a trinket. Since they want to stay offensive, the paladin trinkets the sphere. This is great for us. This alone makes a lot of difference. He can't play as offensive as he played last game. We dish out some damage and they pop Stampede. As you can see, it's all in the Ring of Frost. They can't do anything. I slipped my hand and spell locked the warrior by mistake, but it makes no difference. I fear the paladin half to get a full sheep on him, while going hard on the warrior with a death coil and a deep freeze to keep him away from our healer. Now he has to bubble. This means that he used both his trinket and his bubble defensively, and he can't run in like the last time to CC. They switch on me because they can't get to my healer. I jump down. Even though I have gone really low, I'm confident I don't use my dark bargain. I use my health stone though, seeing my healer getting shockwaved. I port back up and they can't go on me because they have nothing to close this gap. Also, a full fear on the paladin means we can go offensive now. They have nothing to negate this damage. So I'm just jumping down and playing much more offensively. I'm using unending resolve here offensively too to avoid the silencing shot and maybe a little bit of damage if they decide to go on me. I'm going to half fear the paladin here so we can sheep him much easier and then go hard on this warrior. We kill him because of the CC we got earlier in the game to get their cooldowns off and later to get the kill. So basically we won this game mostly because of our perfect play of offensive and defensive play. I didn't even have to use my Dark Bargain as most of the stampede was avoided with Ring of Frost. Also, I used really good portals by jumping down and up, negating most damage that you can as a warlock that uses teleport. So now that we've established the defensive play and know how to negate their cooldowns with our cooldowns, we should talk a bit about the offensive play. The defensive and offensive play as MLS versus KFC go kind of together. You have to do them together. You can't let the paladin have all his cooldowns. A paladin with trinket and bubble is very confident. He's going to run in and CC your healer. You don't want that. You want him on his leash, trying to survive and keep the warrior up. You don't want him being super confident, running in and stopping your healer from healing. The biggest advantage of playing MLS is to have both fear and sheep as your CCs on the healer. You should try to make the healer trinket and bubble in this case while playing defensive at the same time. So basically Ring of Frost on Stampede but Polymorph on Paladin. Deep Freeze on Warrior but Fear on Paladin. Death Coil on Warrior but Spell Locks on Paladin. Meanwhile you're doing these things, you have to go back and forth with the offensive and defensive play. So that once you can survive, you can actually score a kill. A KFC with no cooldowns means a dead KFC. So let's check MLS's best advantage, our CC. What CC do we have as MLS? We have Blood Fear, Sheep, Ring of Frost, Novas, Slows, Hex, Deep Freeze, Death Coil, Capacitator Totem. You have to balance all these CDs well offensively and defensively. You don't want to use your fears on the warrior, for example, or your deeps on the paladin like we've seen earlier. You need to CC the warrior through deeps and coils while CCing the paladin with fears and sheeps. If there is very high pressure, you might want to spam sheep the warrior and fear the hunter, but that's it. Let's check how we use our CCs to get off their defensive CDs while playing defensive, and after they are done popping our CDs and killing the healer even. Alright, so in this game I can't make it to the boxes. I get charged beforehand, so I have to put my portal there and jump down, while my mage polymorphs the hunter, who trinkets into another polymorph while he has popped his stampede. Now I jump down, the stampede has to follow me. It doesn't do that much damage just on its own, while my healer is spam healing me. The warrior couldn't get to me and the stampede didn't do much on its own. It's almost over. My mage puts down a ring for the stampede and the warrior. We're all okay right now. This is really great peeling, but not so great CCing until now. He gets sheeped and trinkets it, and gets a full fear afterwards. He has to bubble it or his team is gonna die. Basically, this is us taking all their defensive cooldowns. We deep the warrior, but we don't death coil him and try to kill him, because we actually want to switch the paladin at this game. I put my dots on him, I pop my cooldowns and death coil him, and we just connect on him really hard and kill him because he has no cooldowns left. The hunter has deterrence and the warrior has cooldowns too, but the paladin has nothing, so this switch is actually a perfect one. He uses his cooldowns to keep his warrior and hunter stay offensive. Since KFC mostly comes from high burst damage, they can't lose the pressure because they will probably not gain it later on. So the paladin has to play offensive with his trinkets and bubble, which makes him a great target. As MLS, it's not so hard to kill healers at all. You can deep freeze and death coil them, and inside it you can burst them down. I couldn't even cast there, but I did really good damage anyway, while my mage, who was pretty much free to cast, did even more. You can even kill healers with no cooldowns if you death coil them and follow it up with a blanket CC like we just did. So just keep your eyes open and try to see who can die and who has cooldowns. It's important to play offensive as well as defensive. If you just play defensive, they will eventually win because of the pressure that you will never gain. But if you force them to play defensive while they want to go offensive, they will run out of cooldowns and they will get killed. Thanks for watching.